Hello and welcome everyone. So, well, I'm live now. So welcome to the Austrian mountains then of Styria, based in the Styrian region of Austria. And of course, the home of the Red Bull Ring, as Mr. Cookie goes on to provisional pole, then in the RB, in the Visa RB Cash App car, of course, with a 1 minute 3.6. That's a very fast lap by, obviously, Mr. Cookie. Puts himself 4 tenths clear of the field. But yeah, welcome to, obviously, Austria, the home of the Red Bull Ring, and, of course, Red Bull's home track, where, obviously, well, the team is based, the Austrian-based outfit, of course. In a sense, a partial home race for, obviously, RB, given they are the sister team. And do race under the Red Bull banner. But of course, are not from Austria, based, well, in Italy. So they are the Italian outfit of Red Bull. Indeed. So, bit of history about the place. 11 corners. Overall, a very short lap, as we can see. Roughly times in the the low 1 minute falls, even getting into the 1 minute threes is possible. And if you're esports level maybe, or a bit beyond esports level, you can probably get into the 1 minute twos if you're lucky. So yeah, a 103 there, 0.6 is a very good lap for Mr. Cookie out of the box then here today. Of course, Niki Lauda, another legend from Austria, besides from Red Bull, one of the greatest Formula 1 drivers ever to embrace the sport overall. So, yeah, let's see what we can then do for Nissan Jarkon, presume, well, I won't presume actually anything. But yeah, let's see what the Aston Martin driver can do. So, he is on a outlap here. We do have a Joshi Wilco, who has done a 1 minute 4.6, but he's now back into the pits. And with obviously those 3-lap-old tyres, they're not going to be exactly ideal for qualifying. Anyway, here is then Nissan. Crosses the line now to begin his flying lap then here. And on them set of mediums, of course. 10 minutes and 24 seconds remaining then. So this is going to be his first lap to try and get a lap time on the leaderboard. Hasn't quite done a full lap yet on those tyres, so into turn number 3. The track is rubbered in, so comparing to, obviously, Flinner, who I think we have to see, well, where he can get that time to. That's the time he's going for, that 104.8. Overall, that's roughly where I think he's aiming at the moment. If he can beat that, that'd be good. Probably would want to beat it, ideally, given the track's probably rubbered in a little bit now. And therefore the grip's gone up, given the dry conditions. So you certainly wouldn't want to be going slower than that time at this stage of qualifying. But let's see what he can do. So rounds the final corner pretty neatly, kept it nicely in the track limits, and only just narrowly beats it by 3 thousandths. So that's not exactly ideal. It's not a bad lap, but it's not ideal to be only beating that lap by 3 thousandths of a second. Ideally, you probably would have wanted to beat it by about at least a tenth or two, I think, personally. So we do have Orion, who's done a 1 minute 3.6 as well, up there with Mr. Cookie. So that's a very good lap to see him in then the mix. Here comes then Bold to the line and puts himself into 103s with a 103.9. So that's a very good lap by him. Where is Rehenson? Rehenson is actually on a lap, so here is Rehenson. Down the hill then, and good middle sector. That's a brilliant middle sector, actually. That, to me, did look like outside of the track limits, but he got away with it, so it won't really matter too much. looks like a bit of a snappy car on the entry and exit at the moment, but let's see whether it's quick or not. It's a 1 minute 4.2, so it's okay. I'm not gonna lie, I do think probably lost a little bit of time in the final sector. Did look like he had a few snaps to handle, which would have certainly cost him a bit of pace. Ideally, you don't want to encounter those snaps of oversteer, but it's a good lap and it does put him, well, into the top 6 for now, and more crucially, ahead of his teammate by a good 4/10 almost. So, yeah, let's see what Flynn is doing. Flynn has now moved on to the soft compound as he rounds the final corner now. And where is this going to put him? Does a 4/10 improvement to go up into 9th with a 1 minute 4.4. So a very decent-ish lap by him to get himself up the pecking order. Right now, between obviously 10th and 1st, it's just under a second between the pecking order at the moment, or between the field spread. So here's Alligator. However, I don't think he's on an improvement, actually, to be fair. Anyone else on an improvement? Blackbone might be on an improvement. Let's see if he is or isn't. I'm not entirely sure if he will be. Obviously, does look like low on ERS, so therefore that probably will be going against him, not being helpful, if that's genuinely his ERS, and a big snap, which certainly going to offset him. And yeah, middle sector's nowhere really near the pace where you'd want to be. Kadeem has obviously invalidated, and here is Orion Imma. Presume that's his name. We've got two Orions. We've got Orion Le Mans. I presume that's how you pronounce the first Orion, and then we've got Orion Imma, who, well, is right now on a 1 minute 4, but I don't think he's going to be improving there given how low his battery is. I know he is actually. He's a 10th up. So, well, almost 2/10 actually up on his lap time so far. So that is a decent improvement. Anyway, rounds the final corner now, and unfortunately has invalidated that lap time. So it looks like Kadeem is going for a second lap then here. And he's got that battery recharged and is about 15 thousandths up through the first sector. Currently sat 6th, 3 thousandths ahead of Henson in that P6. Does have a car in front of him though, which isn't exactly the most ideal situation. So in a sense, well, you'd be hoping that car in front of you is either going to get out your way or is going to obviously be quicker than you or as quick as you. And I think that is Kadeem's lap over then there. For Kadeem, he'll have to come back into the pits, I believe, as we see him do just exactly that then. So I think that was Nissan Jargon who actually invalidated his run, but here is CR Wolf. CR Wolf is come across the line, did improve by a few thousandths, but nothing major to move up the order as of yet. So we're sort of in that awkward stage of qualifying now where we're literally waiting upon cars to either set on their final run or basically leave the pit lane. So we're not really expecting anyone to improve, but let's see. So is this Bluebird going for another lap or beginning another lap? He has only done one lap on those tyres, but he's used up almost half his battery pack within, obviously, well, before he's obviously set off on this lap, which isn't ideal given, you know, well, the battery you would really want fully charged if you're starting a new lap. However, he is 2/10 up in the first sector, so that is a good first sector for the Ferrari man. Going on for the rest of the lap. Whether or not he has another set of tyres available, I'm not entirely sure. That'd be still his choice. Let's see what the middle sector's saying. So 3/10 up now in the middle sector, so it is improvement. It's going to probably see him jump up into about 8th here, maybe, but instead I think he's going to come into the pits, is he? Yes, he is. However, in real life, that would be a penalty for obviously not adhering to the white lines on the pit entrance. So let's see what Josh Wilco does. Josh Wilco does the exact same thing. Not good. Not good. Anyway, Orion has begun then his final lap then here in qualifying, and he's the first of the potential maybe pole sitters that we could have today then on provisional pole up the hill into then turn 3, the louder curb, and takes that one pretty nicely, hits the apex well, gets a good exit using up the battery pack as we can see, using that overtake button to give him just a little bit more boost down the straight and increase his his exit speed and his obviously potential straight line speed as well. Into turn 6, keeps it almost flat, just a tiny little lift, and is now 2/10 up. So Mr. Cookie, if obviously Orion does keep this lap together, is going to have to respond to what Orion does as he rounds the final corner now, or the final couple of corners, to potentially take the provisional pole. Does he keep it within track limits? Yes, he does. And now Orion's going to go on to pole, is he? No! Misses out on pole by, well, about 50-ish thousandths of a second, about 42 thousandths, 41 thousandths, sorry. I think it is, roughly. I might be a bit wrong in that, but yeah, it's very, very close between them. Now, here's Orion Imma. Is he going to improve, or is he going to roughly stay the same? He's about 2/10 up on his lap time, but we saw the last time he was 2/10 up, lost a lot in the final sector. And is it going to be this final sector again, which loses him the time? Let's have a look. Does he improve? Can he go on to provisional pole? Nope, but does improve himself up into the top 3. So that's a very good lap time. Intensity hasn't improved. So intensity, I'm not sure if he's got time to go again. He probably might. He's got about 47 seconds to make the line, so he probably actually does. So here's Kadim on a lap then here. First sector is a bit of an improvement. Probably won't be enough for pole though, if he, well, needs to find a lot more in the middle sector of the lap if he wants to go on to pole. Of course, Mr. Cookie right now, well, I thought he might have had to come out again and basically try and get back for the provisional pole, but at the moment he's on the provisional pole position and Kadim isn't really improving at all out there. He's 45 thousandths down right now on his own personal best. Intensity will not improve. He's back off into the pits. So here is Kadim coming towards the line now. Is it going to be improvement? No, it's not. He will remain then in P, then obviously 7. Here is Rehenson. Then he's going to cross the line. Is he going to improve? Yes, he does. Goes up into then a 7th position. Moves himself but below intensity by 5 thousandths of a second. But Mr. Cookie, in the end, takes the provisional pole, takes the pole position. Then from Orion, in the end, he didn't need to improve his lap time. And he will start this race from pole position today in the Red Bull Ring with the RB and the 2 Kick Saubers behind him in 2nd and 3rd, with Bald in 4th and John Meester in 5th then. So that is your top 5, and in a second I'll go through the rest of the grid very shortly. So, Mr. Cookie takes then the pole by 46 thousandths of a second from Orion. Then it's Orion in third. Then Bold is in fourth. John Meester is in fifth. Then FRL Intensity sixth. Seventh, we have Rahenson. Kadeem is in eighth. Then it's Blackbone in ninth. And Flainer is in 10th. Joshi Wilco is in 11th. Alligator is in 12th. Bluebird is in 13th. 14th, we have Nissam Jankon. And then Hunt 15th. And then rounding out the back of grid, we have CSR Wolf then in 16th. And he will then begin this race from, obviously, P16, is it? P16 or P17? But, yeah, you know, basically last, of course, in this race, which, unfortunately for him, means he has to move forward. But it's a 1 point, I think, was it 8-second field spread there, which is pretty positive, actually. You'd have to say, overall. That's a pretty good field spread in, well, when you consider all things. Of course, Austria probably is one of the nicer circuits when it comes to field spread. Either way, like, you're never going to have probably a field spread beyond 2-3 seconds. Well, yeah, probably even never beyond 2 seconds. If you got a field spread beyond 2 seconds, probably something's a bit wrong. But yeah, 1.8 seconds is a very good field spread overall, which is nice to see. And, well, as we'll go into race, got a 36 lap race, of course, to come your way. Now, in terms of real life, obviously, it was a 2-stop race, if I'm correct. But what will it be in the game? I think in the game it'll be a 1-stop race, given the tyre wear a bit lower. But let's see. It's eyes to the light. It's then foots to the floor, and it's lights out, and away we go for then the Austrian Grand Prix here at then the Red Bull Ring. And Mr. Cookie starts well. The two Saubers coming a little bit into each other's paths, a little bit compromising themselves, and Bald goes through the middle of the pair of them to take P2 on this opening lap. But for Mr. Cookie, he's pulled away well, got already half a second lead as they head down into turn 4. Henson's also made up ground and is up into the top 4 already. Bit of a lock-up and white smoke coming out of the Alpine's tyres on Bold's car. But for then the two Saubers, them two have dropped from 2nd and 3rd on the grid, now down to 3rd and 5th. So not a great start for the two Saubers. Kadeem relatively staying put, same with intensity. Well, intensity loss out to Rahenson overall. Joshi Wilker, I think, has made up a bit of ground there. Bluebird definitely made up a bit of ground overall. But Flinner also doing well. But as we cross the line, it is Mr. Cookie, your race leader on lap 1, setting obviously the pace, and is on the hard tyres. That's probably worth a mention as well. We'll get up now some of the tyre graphics so you can see what tyre everyone is on. So Mr. Cookie opting to go for the hard compound. So ideally, he probably doesn't want an early safety car, doesn't want a mid sort of race safety car. Ideally for Mr. Cookie, if there was a safety car, doesn't want that safety car to happen around the medium pit stop window. If it does obviously happen then, I think he would like to pull out a bit of a gap to try and alleviate that. However, for those behind, all on mediums, besides also Orion, interestingly going for then the hard. But hard does look like it's working pretty nicely in these early stages. There is your pit stop strategy prediction. So we got the 1 stop, obviously, medium, obviously hards, and then we do have the 2 stop available, but I really doubt we will see a 2-stop strategy unless we get a very early or late safety cars in this race, which you never know. But we do have then a change for the lead going on. Bold takes becomes your new race leader, is of course on mediums. Bit of DRS also helping him out to good effect. And, well, Mr. Cookie will get that DRS back into turn 4. Bold defends the inside line. Mr. Cookie able to go with that DRS around the outside. Will they give each other enough room? Yes, they will. Little bit of maybe contact happening there, not entirely sure. but Bold manages to come back at Cookie on the exit, and that is then Bold back officially into the race lead. No DRS, a class move actually from Bold to take back the lead. And on lap 3, he is going to be your new race leader. Then as they head on to then lap 4 of this race overall, as Bold sets the fastest lap, a 1 minute 6.3. So that is then the new current fastest lap then of the race. But this time DRS back in favour of Mr. Cookie. Mr. Cookie using that DRS to take back the lead. And here is Orion. Orion's off the road. Orion, I think, did he go into the back of Mr. Cookie there? I'm not entirely sure what happened. Looked like he might have done, but certainly a huge moment up into turn 3 for Orion. And also picked up a penalty. Now, was that a 3 seconds? No, it was a 10-second time penalty for Orion. So a 10-second penalty given to the Sauber driver. Not sure whether that penalty will be removable at the end of the race. We'll have to wait and see. But that might, well, that one might go to the steward's room. Who knows? But yeah, for Orion Imma, that's not ideal at all. And Kadim comes the next driver to take a penalty then here with 3 seconds. Alligator also got a very early penalty. So some very early penalties coming out early on in this race. But for Orion Imma, that has obviously cost him dearly in this race, which isn't ideal. Now, I do wonder, does that 10 seconds have to be served at the pit stop? Because that could very well be the case. Like, it might not be one of them penalties that you can actually get rid of. And if it is the case, I don't think that's going to be removable from his end race time. So it might really have some pretty huge and severe consequences for the Sauber driver. And if that is the case, it is going to drop him probably back at the moment down into, well, the region of where basically Josh Wilco is right now, I would probably predict. But yeah, Rehenson up into the top 3, so he's making good steady progress, having those moments that we saw in qualifying, and got a bit of a bad exit off turn 1. This is going to allow then obviously Orion Le Mans a chance. We see Bold retake the lead. Almost a little bit of contact between Cookie and Bold, but on the exit, Cookie getting a better exit. Same with Rehenson. And in the end, well, is Rehenson going to go for it down into turn 4? They're side by side. Is Rehenson going to get the better exit and outdrag Bold? No, not quite, but certainly Rehenson did have a look at going down the inside of then Bold there. Tried to capitalise on that and try and take P2 away from the Alpine driver. But now, here is where Rehenson's a little bit weaker than the rest of these drivers in this sort of section of the track. And Rehenson's just been overtaken. What a lovely overtake that is by Orion Le Mans. Then there, that's a beautiful overtake by him to take then third place off then Rehenson. So once again, Cookie defending Bold with then obviously the DRS. This time Bold choosing not to overtake Cookie there into turn 3, but I imagine he will certainly not hold back if he's close enough to maybe make the pass into turn 4, or does he not go for it? No, this time deciding to just stand his ground, and we do have a yellow flag. Now this is where the risk for Mr. Cookie comes, because if a safety car gets deployed now, this would be far from ideal for Mr. Cookie, given that the medium runners could stop and probably put on a set of hards and go to the end. So it's literally a situation like that where obviously Mr. Cookie does not want, he wants ideally to get beyond the point where obviously the medium runners can stop and get to the point where basically the hards become the better tyre, and not just the better tyre, but then obviously doesn't have that threat of being obviously at risk of a safety car, because if Mr. Cookie has to run basically medium tyres for more than, I would say, 15 laps, it sort of puts his race at risk. But Bold takes in the lead of the race once again. Mr. Cookie fighting out with Orion. Orion then going for it, is he? No, Mr. Cookie there on the inside, Orion in the background. As we cut to just this camera, gives you a bit of a better view what's going on. And now down the hill, and Bold clearly in front by a car's length. And, well, for the two hard runners, this is so far the most ideal situation at the moment it can certainly be. So, lap then 9 of the race. Now, the other day in ERL, this is where the safety car, the first safety car and the only safety car, was deployed. And we're already on to lap 9 of this race, which is insane how quick these races go. They certainly fly by in F1 24 on this game. They feel like they just go, the laps go in a heartbeat, and that's how relentless they are. But anyway, Mr. Cookie and Orion and Bold side by side. Orion might have a chance to take the race lead here. He is going to have a chance. Was there contact? I think there just might have been, but this is going to allow Mr. Cookie to get his foot in the door. Can he do it? Oscar Piastri go round the outside of Orion into turn 6. No, Orion manages to hang on, and in the end Mr. Cookie couldn't go around the outside there of his rival. But for Orion, obviously he's now the race leader. So, lap 10 of the race, Orion becomes the new race leader here on this 10th lap. And Mr. Cookie now, well, still the second car positioned with the DRS overall. So he's the one that can go on the attack here into turn number 3. Not quite making the move there, but gets a good exit, I think, just about. Did he get a better exit, though, than Orion? He does have a bit of DRS. Orion defends to the inside, so forcing Mr. Cookie to go the long way round. Now, I think Mr. Cookie might have been trying to aim for the switchback manoeuvre there, but did he get it? By the looks of it, no. And, well, Orion manages to hold his position for now. Ezra Henson doing a good job in keeping with this group, I would have to say. Given where he qualified, certainly was a bit off the pace of some of these drivers in qualifying. Obviously, intensity though, he's the driver who, well, has also a bit of a train behind him. As we can see, he's certainly got a few cars saturated behind, and yeah, that DRS train of his is pretty much fighting away for then what is at the moment 6th down to effectively 11th, as then we see this battle still for the race lead, which I think more probably important to keep an eye on, because this battle for the race lead has been so far a very clean battle, and not just a clean battle, but it's been a good battle to watch between obviously Cookie, Orion Bold, Rehenson and Orion Imma. So those drivers have been fighting all race long so far. Of course, Orion Imma does have 10 seconds to be added on to his race time, and that potentially will get added on into the pit stop. And if it does get added on in that pit stop phase, then, well, for Orion Imma, will drop him, unfortunately, out of then the range of this group. But he will be probably still ahead of the likes of Kadim and of the likes of Intensity, who right now fighting it out for 6th and 7th further back. So whilst it will hurt him quite a bit, it might not hurt him positionally, As we see then Mr. Cookie go side by side again with Orient Le Mans. And Le Mans then manages hold on for another lap ahead of this group. And I think Orient is being very wise to how he's defending here, as Rehenson picks up a 3-second penalty. So that's his first time penalty of the race. So right now Bold doing well to hang on also to this group, as we are approaching now the medium pit stop window. And well, who is going to be the first to blink then? It is going to be, I think, Hunt, is it? Or is it, sorry, Intensity is going to be the first then driver to blink, and he will be putting on the hard compound of tyre, as we will see then here. Does he change wings? Nope. So everything's fine. Just a standard pit stop, as then Mr. Cookie down the inside of Orion, takes the position away from Orion, and now moves himself back up into the race lead from where he started, of course, in this race. So that now sees him back up into first. Orion then back down to second. Bold third. Then Orion Imma is in fourth. So are we going to see some more pit stops happen very shortly? We just might. You never know. But right now for these medium runners, they are going quite long now. This is the 14th lap. I think for the mediums, definitely getting very close. But for Bold, his pace is actually very strong at the moment. I'll give Bold credit there. Considering his tyres are probably in the worst state, comparing everyone's, he's doing very well at the moment to hang on to, obviously, this group. And contact made between Bold and Orion. Orion, I'm not sure where he is. He's, well, managed to keep just about intact with them all. I thought he might have had a bigger moment than that, but he did lose a few positions there. Now, that's probably not good news for Bold if that gets reported, because that most definitely will be found against him, I reckon, in that situation. I'm not entirely sure, we'll have to see, but for Bold, he is now back into the lead. And as I said, doing a good job despite that little contact in this situation, considering where his tyres are at. They are, well, 14 laps old now. This is the 15th lap he's used on this tyre compound. And you don't really want to go much further than probably lap 15 on a set of mediums, especially when you're starting the race. Obviously, for those that are on the hards, I suspect they will go probably towards maybe lap 18, lap 20 region, as Rehenson has come in. So for Orion Imma, I imagine he surely must be thinking about a pit stop sooner rather than later. And is, well, Bold gonna come in and commit to the pits this lap? No, still continuing on with the hard runners. Now, is then Orion coming in? Yes, he is. Now, the thing I want to see, does obviously Orion Imma have to serve that 10-second time penalty? Because obviously, if he does, that's going to pretty much make him lose a lot of time. And indeed, he is. And you can see, unfortunately for him, he's serving that 10 seconds in the pit stop. So he'll lose 10 seconds, not just to the leader group, but obviously to the group, or to the driver he was fighting, I believe, Rehenson. So that allows a bit of pressure to come off Rehenson, actually, and to actually try and hopefully put them hard tyres to good measure, and to try and hopefully gain on the race leaders. But right now, I don't think he's necessarily gaining. I'm going to go to the gap to the leader, just to see if he is or isn't. So it's 18.4 still. So, is he gaining at the moment on the race leader? You'd have to probably conclude he's not. And now Bold has committed to the pit lane and comes into the pits then here to serve his mandatory pit stop. And he will obviously put on the harder compound. And, well, for the two race leaders, they are now the drivers on the harder compounds, still obviously to make their stop. So as I say, their probably pit stop window is soon approaching, probably about lap 18 to 20. Maybe if you want to aim towards the softs, you could maybe try and extend to lap 22 or 24. I'm not sure if that would be a viable strategic option. Certainly probably could be, but for Mr. Cookie then, your race leader at the moment on the hard compound, and well, I imagine he will be trying to drive as fast as he can, but obviously them tyres will be very much worn down now, and well, those behind have got fresher tyres. For Bold, he's come out just behind Blackbone, but Blackbone is on a set of 16 lap old hard compound tyres, as actually Orion Le Mans coming in then here for what I would perceive as a bit of a early pit stop then, and he's obviously going to put on the medium tyre. So what does Mr. Cookie do now? Does Mr. Cookie just stay out? You know what, if I was Mr. Cookie, that's exactly what I would do. I would stay out for a little bit longer just to give yourself a bit of an offset and help yourself out a little bit on that medium compound compared to Orion. And I think that would be a very wise strategy to do. So long, obviously, he's coping fine. I'm not sure. It's obviously down to him. A little bit of a going off there. Probably he's going to tempt him, though, to come in this lap instead of remaining out on the track, I think. Certainly, putting a wheel into the gravel is never going to encourage you to remain out. And you can see he's lost, well, almost losing a whole entire 1 second through that. And does he come in? No, he stays out. So he is going to extend a little bit beyond, obviously, Orion Le Mans. And he's going to try and make that, obviously, work in comparison to what everyone else is doing. And, you know, I do think that is the right thing to do. Obviously, it's only the right thing, though, to do if you can get the pace working, as we see Bold sets the fastest lap of the race. Now, Bold is going to, well, have the overtaking opportunity now on these hard compound of tyres, as he gets them past Rehenson with relative ease. But can Rehenson come back on the exit? Does have DRS to come back at him with. Does he go for the inside line? He's certainly going to try and make it work. Down into turn 4. Does he send it? No. In the end, Bold is a bit too far ahead of Rehenson to think about the dive into the turn 4 corner. And, well, for Bold, that's good news, because he's now got a car between himself and Orion, who is just stopped on the medium compound. Now, for Mr. Cookie, I think coming in now is a bit of a mistake. That's just my opinion. I think, you know, it's sort of a bit half-hearted, if I'm honest. However, we will have to see if he can make it work. He does have the offset of 2 laps. I do think he's got good pace, obviously, but he has lost a lot of time. And he hasn't given himself a brilliant offset, especially in comparison to Bold and to Orion. So that's my concern I've got right now for Mr. Cookie, is the offset he's given himself. Is it a fair criticism? I think so, but we'll have to see what happens at the end of the race. Obviously, if these two battle like this, they're going to obviously make Mr. Cookie's life also a bit easier to catch them, because as we can see, Mr. Cookie has already caught by about half a second on this lap alone, but these two sort of don't really, well, at least I think if you're Bold, you don't really want to hold yourself up through battling if anything, you probably want to let the guy in front probably pull you along and to try and maintain a reasonable pace, I think, here. That's at least what I would be doing, so long he's quicker. But Bold is not going to be like that. Bold is going to go for it up into turn 3, takes the position away. And can he get the car slowed down? He can, and maybe a bit too much slowed down there on the entrance because they all sort of concertinaed together. And, well, Bold almost gave a few drivers behind broken front wings for good measure. But for Orion, I think he's okay. I think Rahensen's also okay. I don't think they've got any material damage on their cars, or at least I hope not. Any comments in the comment section? No, sadly not. Oh well, we'll crack on then with the race still. Thank you for the 1 like, whoever has liked the live stream so far. We do appreciate that a lot. Obviously, if you could like more, that would always be welcome. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've got 216 subscribers, so it'd be nice to get maybe up to 220 at some point soon in the near future to obviously help out everything. It's good that we've obviously got a great community we're building, which is obviously good. Anyway, Bluebird is still on track. He's got a 3-second penalty. I don't know why I said he's still on track. Of course he's on track, Julian. He's not going to be, well, on a rally track, is he, or on the ski slopes? Anyway, currently sat 15th, 14 lap tyres. I do think he's probably got a pit, if I'm correct in saying. Because, yeah, them tyres are really old. And I think those tyres aren't ideal. And Mr. Cookie's actually left the session. So this is not ideal. Now, I am going to quickly spam him a invite. Out of good faith, if I can. Because I just don't want Mr. Cookie to somehow, you know, not have a reasonable chance of winning this race, or just a reasonable chance of finishing strongly. But yeah, for the drivers that have obviously, well, for Mr. Cookie, not ideal, far from ideal, that is, that disconnection overall, because that will see Mr. Cookie certainly plummet back into the path of Orion. And I'm not sure what the AI is set to. If it's set to, you know, anything, well, even if it's set to 75 or something, you know, I'm pretty sure a lot of these drivers probably be a lot quicker than a 75 rated AI or whatever it might be. But for Mr. Cookie, hopefully he can get back in the lobby as quickly as he possibly can, and indeed he has then there, which is great to see, but it still has put him about 5 seconds further back than from the race leader. In fact, 6 seconds it is now. So for Bold, for obviously Orion, has this race just become a 2-horse race then? As we'll go back to some other battles a bit further down. Here's Blackbone making an overtake. He said don't watch me on the admin chat, but I tell you what, I've just watched him and he's made an overtake. Well done, Blackbone then there. Of course, it was 3-lap old mediums versus 10-lap old hards, but nonetheless, well done, Blackbone. And you're up to P7 as well. That's a very good drive. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't really put you out of the running to finishing 6th here, so long you keep the car in the right direction. But yeah, well done, Blackbone. That's a really lovely job. You know, to see him up into P7 then, which has a good chance also chasing down P6 here, and who knows, maybe even getting P5 is a possibility. I wouldn't put it out of the realms of possibilities, to be fair. Anyway, right now, this is a little bit of a DRS train, but right now I think they're a bit too far back to be making manoeuvres on each other. We'll have a quick watch of Kadeem. Is he coming under a bit of pressure? I think he might be. Obviously, Hunt, both got relatively similar age tyres to each other. In terms of penalties, let's have a quick look who's got what. So, we have Orion with 3 seconds. Then we have Bold with absolutely no penalty whatsoever. We have Rehenson with 6. Then we have Mr. Cookie with no penalties also. So that's looking at least good for, obviously, Mr. Cookie. Maybe a P2 is still on the cards here. I think P1 might have just slipped away due to that disconnection, which I am sad to say, with obviously 10 laps to go. But P2, I think, is doable with the penalties that are at stake. Obviously, you've got Rehenson 6, so that certainly drops Rehenson behind Cookie. And then you've got, obviously, Orion, who right now with 3. So if Cookie can maybe make up about 2.5 seconds, 2.7 seconds, I think that would obviously get him within that 3-second window. And that would obviously put him ahead. Obviously, Orion Imar, the other Orion in the other Sauber, currently also got 3 seconds himself. His intensity been chased down by, obviously, Blackbone, but for intensity, he does have 6 seconds. So either way, not only in the penalties is he behind, but probably on the track soon, he is also going to be behind positionally as well. Hunt and Hunt has actually managed to dispatch of Kadeem, but Kadeem and Hunt do have, well, roughly same tyre life, roughly the same penalties with 6 seconds. Josh Wilco is also got 6 as well. Flinner 0, Nissam 0. Then we got Alligator with obviously 6. Bluebird racking them penalties up like bonus points with 15 seconds. Then we've got obviously John Meister with 9 seconds, and we've got Sierra Wolf with obviously 6 seconds. So those are the current penalties as it currently then stands here at the moment. So we are now into the final 10 laps of this race. So far, Bold leads with, well, okay, in theory, the worst tyre at the moment, being on the hards versus mediums, but for obviously Bold, he's got he's got fresher tyres in another sense, given that the mediums will probably start to drop off very shortly. And for obviously Mr. Cookie, he's picked up a 3-second penalty, which is not ideal, even for his podium chances. That is probably the worst thing that could happen to Mr. Cookie now in general, because it means he has to make up 3 seconds on Rehenson. But, well, having said that, Rehenson's just gone and given himself another 3 seconds, so that means take that back. But for P2 at least, Orion therefore is now in command of that then. And yeah, Bold pulling away then from them a little bit here on this lap. He's built the gap out to 7 tenths. Of course, DRS is still active, and DRS therefore will play a little bit of effect for Orion to help him maintain within a second. But I just get the feeling now that those medians have started to drop off now, and for Orion, he's going to obviously lose a bit of ground. But for Bold, well, he did have that little collision a little bit earlier. Has had a few collisions, and I do think they are potential reportable incidents for both, obviously, drivers, which, well, if they are, do we see potentially this get settled in the steward's room, this race? I'm not sure. We'll have to obviously wait and see if that could be a potential case scenario, if it could get settled in the steward's room today. Because there was that incident, I think it was lap 14 or 15. Obviously, Bold sent it down the inside, made a little bit of contact with Orien Le Mans, and obviously did cost Orien Le Mans a little bit of time and position, which for Orien Le Mans, if he did want to report that, I do think he's sort of in fair sort of gain and territory. But having just said that, Orien's just done the same to Bold, almost punted him off the track, but does give back the position, and therefore didn't keep that first place, which he would have taken. Fair play, that's a good sport by Orien Le Mans to give that one back, not accepting it as obviously his position. I do like that, as Bluebird picks up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He's picking those penalties up like, as I say, bonus points. 25 seconds, I think, of penalties now for him. So not ideal for the Ferrari man, who's currently running, not last, but almost last. And he is running last now. I think he's just been overtaken. He probably won't pull out 25 seconds on CSR Wolf, given where he is, but could he maybe, well, can he get the fastest lap, if that's possible? Who currently has the fastest lap? Let's have a look. So the fastest lap is currently with Orien with a 1 minute 5.4. Currently, Bluebird's fastest lap is a 1 minute 6.8. So he needs to find about 1.4 seconds to take that fastest lap. I think that's doable for him. I hope. He did do a 1 minute 4, I think, 0.8 in qualifying. So everyone was in roughly 1.8 seconds. So I don't know. We'll have to see. That's all I can say on that. But obviously, he's going to take obviously one of his on-track rivals to move himself back up into 15th. But does have obviously 25 seconds worth of penalties also for good measure. And Bowles made a bit of an error. He's again, well, on the brakes, but that's cost Orien Le Mans a little bit of time as well. I don't think that's reportable, but certainly has, well, made a little bit of contact with the Sauber driver behind of Orien Le Mans, as Nassam Jacon has picked up another 3 seconds also to his name. Let's have another look at those penalties. So Bluebird 28 seconds, then Rehensen's on 9, Mr. Cookie's 3, but actually Mr. Cookie hasn't really found his rhythm again since he's dropped out of that window, to be fair. He's actually now not going to get the podium over Rehensen. So Rehensen, for me, by the way, is going to be my driver of the day. He is, I think, done the best job out there of everyone. I mean, I could give it to also Bold. I think Bold's done a very good job as well. Mr. Cookie, I feel a bit unfortunate for. Blackbone also could be another worthy mention today in terms of driver of the day. If I'm being honest, I think he's done a good job. Let's actually have a quick look to see where they started. So I want to get up that. So yeah, as you can see, Rehensen's made up one, well, actually, sorry, Hunt's made up the most ground. He's gone up from what is then 15th up into 9th. So he's made up 6 positions. But Rehensen's made up 4 positions, actually. I think that's very impressive. Yes, okay, Hunt's made up 6. Is he going to make up a 7th? He's still fighting away with Kadim here for what is P8, and he is going to make up a 7th. So maybe he should be driver of the day. I don't know. Certainly a good drive from him, actually, to make up 7 positions. But I think Rehensen's also done a good drive today. A very good drive to do for. But also, yeah, Blackbone's done, I think, impressive job. Up from 9th into 6th. So yeah, some good drives actually going on out there today, by obviously quite a few of our drivers. Then there. So we are getting towards then the business end of this race, and I'll tell you what, it is still it is still everyone's race on the cards sort of here. I really could not call a winner at the moment. Yes, Bold is the favourite, has to be considered the front runner, but it only takes one penalty and it can all go wrong for Bold as well. Let's not forget that. Whilst he is currently sat in second, but he does have a medium runner ahead of him, who at the moment with 3 seconds, does he try to force obviously Bold into a racing error and try to unsettle Bold? Obviously Bold does have better tyres, certainly probably at this stage of the race. So here comes then Orion again. Does he go for it down the inside? Orion and Bold, are they going to go for it? Well, Orion did send it, Orion Le Mans did, but not quite able to get ahead of them Bold at the apex. Now for Bold, going on to them the final lap, he's going to start very shortly. All he has to do to come and win this race is keep his car within inside the white lines, and he surely will be your race winner today. Certainly a little bit wide there, that looked for me. That looked dangerously wide for Bold. So that could be a track limit warning, but he is on this final lap going to have the assistance of the back markers, and that might just give him a bit of DRS, and that DRS might just help him pull away from then obviously Orion, and it is allowing him to pull away again. Going to have another dose of DRS as well from his teammate of Alligator. Was that pre-planned? I'm not entirely sure you would pre-plan something like that, but that DRS is going to help then Bold maintain his lead into these final few corners, and it is then Bold who's going to surely come across now to take the win. He hasn't picked up a time penalty on this final lap, so even if he does, it probably won't change the fact he's going to win this race. Hunt picks up another 3 seconds, which might affect his end race result. But for, obviously, Bold, it is going to be the race win in Austria for the Alpine driver. Bold wins the race, and oh no, what has Orion Le Mans done? He's thrown away a P2. Or has he? No, he hasn't. Orion Le Mans has actually finished second. Okay, but that was a bit silly. I'm not going to lie. I do think that was a bit bizarre thing to do, because could have cost him easily a P2 there. Orion Inmar comes home in 5th then. Blackbone is going to take home a very solid P6. I think he might have been a bit disconnected there at the end of the race. Intensity comes home in 7th. Hunt, in the end, finishes the race in 8th, but does have penalties. Let's see where it puts him. Flinner in 8th, then Hunt is going to be 9th. Josh Wilco is in 10th, or is he? No, Nissam comes home 10th. Josh Wilco is then in 11th, followed by then the final driver finishing on the lead lap is going to be Kadim, who is in 13th, and that has been your Austrian Grand Prix. And yeah, nice to have no safety car, very quick, done and dusted. That's the way we like it. And yeah, what a good race that was. I enjoyed that, I hope. And as I say, my driver of the day, I'm going to give it to Rehenson. Yes, he did pick up 9 seconds of penalties, but a very, very solid drive to take home a P3 then today. As we see then the top step of the podium shared by, obviously, Bold, Le Mans and Rehenson. And yeah, as I say, my driver of the day is Rehenson, then, who really did well. Give driver of the day to me. I'm a Red Bull. No, Blackburn, you're not getting driver of the day. Even though I would say you did do a very, very good job. And the reason I'm not giving you driver of the day, okay, Rehenson got penalties, but I think Rehenson 7th to 3rd is a very, very solid job, and to keep up with the leaders all race long. I'm surprised by his pace compared to quali. That's what I think why I'm giving him the driver of the day, because quali pace weren't quite there, but race pace spot on, which is a very good thing. But yeah, anyway, I'll go through the final race result. Bold is your race winner, then it's Orion Le Mans, then Rahenson in third, then it's Mr. Cookie fourth. Orion Inma is in fifth, then sixth is Blackbone. Very good job by, obviously, Blackbone to take sixth. That's a fantastic result for him. FRL Intensity is seventh, then it's Flinner in ninth, then Hunt 10th. Then Nissam in 10th, then Josh Wilco is at 11th, then John Meister is in 12th, Kingdom is in 13th, I believe, and then I've kind of messed up the rest of the grid. But yeah, the rest of the order doesn't really matter, I don't think, too much. Anyway, until next week, see you then for what will be round 2, and until then, have a great week, and see you next Wednesday.